actually the case over on Rumble, of course, unpause and repause, obviously. And we've got our coffee. We can clank around. Absolutely delicious. Just saying, I've got a pirate cup now. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Grace. I enjoyed that quite a bit. We've got to talk about the dark money group that is funding a bunch of leftoid influencers. We've known this for some time, honestly. It's not been really a secret. It's more like an open secret. We knew that this was going on, and that the right wing does this too, by the way. But now it's been exposed that there's quite a web behind this among people who are effectively sworn to secrecy. So they've sold their souls. And they're like, well, you're giving me a bunch of money every month, so I'll keep it secret, the fact that I'm bat for you, even though I don't give a fuck about your political ideology. That's pretty much what happened, it seems. Cracker Barrel confirms removing Pride page, changes to business resource groups. If they were to go back on redecorating their venues, then probably nobody would have a problem with them anymore. They'd probably make a lot of money off that if they were to make that announcement. A mysterious rose survived Hurricane Katrina. Nearly 20 years later, it's still a symbol of hope. Yeah, apparently an heirloom variety that might be from the original gangsta area of rose breeding from like literally 200 years ago, apparently has survived, and it's one of the original kinds of roses back then when they would ramble around and they were more vine-like as opposed to more compact, more bushy and stuff like that. And it managed to survive Hurricane Katrina 20 years ago, and now it's actually been spreading along that general vicinity. Trump cancels Kamala Harris' Secret Service detail. Liberals outraged despite the fact that, typically speaking, you get 6 additional months of secret security Secret Service security, if you're vice president, because it doesn't last for the rest of your life. It's not like a president of the United States. And it was extended for an additional year by the Biden administration. Trump said, no, that's not necessary. The liberals are complaining about it, despite the fact that this means that the Trump administration is actually, towing precedent. Make America great, secure, and maritime again. This is something that I do have an increased interest in over the last couple of years. Because so much trade is maritime, it makes sense to be the main maritime power. It's as simple as that. We'll get into that as well. There's an Italian area that have installed turnstiles to try to dissuade vacationers and influencers from marching into their northeastern Italian region. It's a nice alpine region. They're actively trying to dissuade people from coming to the area. By the way, it looks like a little bit of an alpine version of Vermont with the split rail fences and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like some place that I would feel familiar in until somebody offers me, spaghetti instead of maple syrup. Left-wing media spreads falsehoods about Trump's new election integrity watchdog. I don't know if I'll get to that or not. 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, is the U.S. better prepared? The answer is largely no. And that's the problem. No, we are not. So yeah, there's quite a bit of news today. Some of it is like page B news, but there are a few major stories. Any time we're talking about Cracker Barrel, at the very least, people are going to have fun. I have a fly sitting on my webcam. I wonder if I can kill it. We will attempt. I'm not sure if I just got that. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. Opinionated junkie, you should check out Al Berry, Better South Park. I've never heard of it. Girl of the Valley, don't accept broken spaghetti. Yes, never break the spaghetti. You don't need to. It'll slowly melt into the pot, assuming that the pot's not absolutely tiny. It will cook just fine. Yeah, we'll get to that, but first, we're going to get to our sponsors. That's what I'm talking about. And of course, TGIF, it's Friday, so I might keep it a little bit shorter today, or I might go a little bit longer. You know, I can do whichever I want because we're going into the weekend, and I've got Jamaican food, actually. Yeah, perfectly spicy. I got it spiced to Jamaican levels as opposed to, again, white people levels, because they actually understand making foods intermediate in the spicy department. My dad, he used to work with Jamaicans for decades, actually, when he was at the restaurant in Woodstock at the Mountain Creamery, and he'd get all sorts of weird spicy stuff, like Scotch bonnets and stuff like that. And I never got to try them at the time, but now I'm a spice enthusiast after that jalapeno incident, so yeah. Let's see. Let's go to our sponsors first. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills and also doggo snacks. So you and your best friend can enjoy them together. They are not psychotropic. Don't worry, these are not drugs. These are enhancers, dual bioactivated mushroom extracts with brain squared. You have lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, and oyster, all extracted and put into the pill. I can't remember exactly what was in the doggo trees. I can't remember exactly which. There were 6 of them, and they were dual extracted as well, dual bioactivated. And 9, they worked. The doggo loved them, so you should probably try it. We have BiltongUSA.com. Every time Anton and his site come up, we must eat bovright. It is a bovright of passage. Wink, wink. Pun intended. Really, really good. Excellent in soup, by the way. Also Vegemite and Marmite. Sticks, X, and Hammer tumblers, mugs, and shirts. And plenty of meat. Thousands and thousands of pounds of meat. Bison, Cabanassi, Angus, Wagyu, venison, pretty much anything that you can possibly think of. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMandbean.com. This has some Clanker Blend in it right now. I needed some caffeine, what can I say? They've also got other types of coffee. They got the Costa Rica blend, that's really good, among others, and plenty of tea. The Yunnan Jig is still my favorite, but so far I haven't had one that I disliked, so they're all pretty good. Oh, Anton is here, by the way. That means I'm glad that he agrees with me on breaking spaghetti. Here's to Anton. Too salty. Uncle Sham, do you know how much you would have to pay me to eat candy corn chowder? I don't think that you could afford my candy corn chowder video. I don't think that you would be able to pay me enough. And we got all sorts of cute clankettes over there that are saying suggestive things. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, Dark Money Group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. Now, it's funny that this is by Taylor Lorenz. This is not the true full-on legacy media. This is more the fringe of the legacy media. So more of the tech-involved side of it. And talking about how people are being paid, in some cases, fairly large amounts of money, $5,000 to $8,000 a month. I wish somebody would pay me that to spread propaganda in order to put out left-wing, news stories. The problem is not the fact that they're being paid for influence. For instance, I shout out my sponsors every day. I get a certain amount of money to do this. And there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, I'm assuming that these people already primordially support leftism. So that's not the problem. The problem is not that they're shouting out ideologies that they already agreed with, or attacking ideologies that they disagreed with. Perfectly fine. You know, flaunt it if you got it. You've got a big audience. You can get money in order to do what you would be doing anyway. More power to you. It doesn't matter whether you're left, right, or center. Who cares? That being said, the problem, and if you look through this particular article, you'll see this, is that they became constrained in what they were allowed to talk about. Don't touch this subject. You must have this opinion on this subject. If not, then don't talk about it at all. And so they're being controlled. This is the opposite, almost, in some ways, of what's happened with the anti-left. With the anti-left, most of us are getting money from sponsors like, I'm promoting biltong. I'm promoting tea and coffee and pills made with mushroom extracts. None of these have anything to do with politics. Nobody's going to control my messaging. But with some of these other people, their message is very much controlled. And they've been astroturfed. A lot of these people are mainly shit talkers, TikTokers by another name. That means that they're using a site where half of the users or more aren't even real people. It's just artificial engagement. I'm sure some of these people have gamed the system to the point where they're capable of getting the DNC to pay them money through a third-party company, of course, through Chorus in this particular case, for doing and accomplishing absolutely nothing. Which is funny as hell. Yes, Anton, I got the extra biltong and the additional Lorenzo, a non-binary creator in Columbus, Ohio, with over 884,000 TikTok followers, 10 of which are real people, asked the group something about whether they were going to have a joint email to coordinate, or whether they were going to be individuals. I'm not sure exactly who leaked this, by the way, to the public. But yeah, there's a site called Chorus, and it's attempting to take far leftoids and liberals and sort of, compress their so-called influencers together to coordinate, to make things artificially viral. That works, according to new algorithms. It's not like it hasn't been done before, but, it's being centrally coordinated and paid for now. Whereas before, really, and this is what I had in mind, what I had in mind is a bunch of content creators with decent-sized audiences simply throwing in together, and they would have a central hub in order to promote one another's material, etc., and make that stuff viable in the algorithm. I wish that it had taken hold more, because the algorithm now punishes all of us for the most part. There's hardly an independent content creator at this point who hasn't suffered under the algorithm at one point or another, unless they are literally being paid by one of these sites to make content. And we know now, of course, YouTube literally pays certain people to make content. They have them under contract. So they're not independent. They're not independent content creators. You can call them influencers all you want. That's perfectly fine. But they're not really... It's not like the last wave of content creation in any meaningful sense. And so that's why people like myself are having problems on not just YouTube, but other associated platforms, because we're no longer welcome. They want to give the money to those people that have the views that they themselves happen to support. So they're all a bunch of astroturf bullshitters. Woghead Rex, sea iguana biltong ranched on artificial palm fruit islands. That's an interesting idea. Iguana biltong? Privateer of the East, Sticks, I'm sending you some more cards. One of them will be based on that hilarious story of your sketchy tangerine gift when you were in New England. LMAO. Bobby Bobinson, Sticks. What do you think of the new dildo brand dildos and how Jeremy is going to impale you with them? Funny story. Somebody actually did make a dildo years and years ago. It was a dragon dildo for some unknown reason, and they branded it after me. Not sure. I can't remember exactly how that played out. I doubt it's available now, but yeah, there was, I guess, a Styx Hexen dildo for a while. It's a very strange life that I've led. Let's put it that way. Cracker Barrel confirms removing Pride page. Changes to business resource groups. Company says changes made months ago. I believe that as far as I can throw it. Now focus sponsorships on corporate giving initiatives. Oh, we're going to give money to starving people or some shit. We'll give them the leftover Cracker Barrel food. Considering the amount of food waste, you could probably feed the entire homeless population of the United States adequately and give them 3 full meals a day just with the leftovers from people's meals. Why don't you collect them, keep them warm or cold, depending on which one, and then have a serving station. You can't sell it anyway. Nobody's going to be able to eat it. But if I'm homeless and I can get a tray of food, I don't give a fuck if that burger's half-eaten. You think I'm going to pass that up? I think they should do something like that. It raises our efficiency, reduces the amount of food that needs to actually be prepared, and takes care of the poor, all at virtually zero expense. Makes sense to me, at least. Yeah, they've removed their Pride page. I'm not terribly concerned with this, though. The big thing was really the interior decoration. Oh, you simplified your logo. Well, that's unfortunate, but nobody really, technically, nobody really gives a shit. But the interior decor was the whole fucking point. The whole reason that you would choose Cracker Barrel over the Applebee's next door was mainly for the aesthetic. That maybe, depending on what kind of food that you like, maybe what's on the menu. Other than that, there'd be no real difference between the two of them. But they've decided to change that. They've gone back on the logo, they've removed their Pride page, and now they're gearing their resource groups towards, giving back to the community sort of stuff, as opposed to, hey, we're only going to give it to you if you're a certain skin color or you have a vagina. Well, that's good. It's a step in the positive direction. But, there is no more that you need to do, just saying. Other people have pointed out the same thing. A mysterious rose survived Hurricane Katrina. Nearly 20 years later, it's still a symbol of hope. Yes, apparently, there is a rose plant, a vining rose, one of the old school ones, not like one of the new bushy ones that have been developed since then. A gigantic rose bush, which is a rambler, has been growing, and it survived Katrina, and they were trying to figure out exactly how it managed to do that since it was underwater for several days. But it did. It managed to survive, and now it's spreading, actually, along the river and in the general vicinity. And they're thinking it's some sort of heirloom variety from the really early, original gangsta days of roses. Because you got to realize that all of the roses that you see only took them a few centuries to actually breed all of these things. So you have thornless roses, you have long stem, you have short stem, you have the ramblers, etc., etc. One of the most popular flowers certainly in Europe and the United States. I'm not a huge fan myself. I prefer things like Nicotianas and stuff like that. It'd be funny if you could make a Nicotiana vine. Now that would be amazing. That would be funny as hell. But this particular rose, they cannot determine exactly its pedigree. They have suspicions, and they're trying to do tests on it, but they're not 100% sure exactly what kind of rose it is. Could be that the original specimen was effectively one of a kind. It's entirely possible. I love this part. In 1989, it was given to me by a friend, Martin said of the rose. That friend told Martin she received the flower from her mother-in-law. And though Martin had spent years researching and traveling trying to find out its true origin, the plant's lineage beyond that remains a mystery. It's probably from the 1800s, and I think it originated in Europe, but we can't find out positively, she told CNN. Yeah, apparently there were hundreds of different varieties of antique roses in this particular garden. Every single other one of them died. They all got drowned. This is the only one that managed to survive. And so naturally, and this is from New Orleans, which again is funny. And but this survived, and it looks pretty good. If you look at the pictures again in the article, just look up "A Mysterious Rose Survived Hurricane Katrina." You'll be able to find the article. Ultimately, it looks like it's doing pretty good, actually. In fact, it's gigantic. It's covering up most of this shed, and apparently it's spreading, actually. Shows good survivorship, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of roses. They're all right. Like, I mean, they can be pretty, but I don't know. I prefer certain other species myself. Bobby Bobbinson, Ghost has a few good songs. Yeah, Square Hammer is a really great one. Green either. Fave. I don't know what that is. It looks like a flower, I guess. Harrison Bergeron. My wife loves roses, but so do Japanese beetles. Yes, I know. It is a big problem. What you can do is you put up those traps that have like the four square yellow fins. They actually work really, really well. And, you just use them. Put that next to it. They'll be more attracted to that than to the rose. They'll fall inside, and then they'll drown in poison. Grandpa Grill's Santa Maria Barbecue Grills. You plant rosy palm? I get the reference. Tony Martinez. Play some Skinner, man. I love that reference. Yeah, Inbred Jed. The precursor to Beavis and Butthead. Trump cancels Kamala Harris's Secret Service detail that was extended by undisclosed Biden order. Now, this is from CNN Politics. So naturally, they allude to leftoids getting really hot under the collar about this and being really upset and saying, oh my god, he's trying to get her killed and stuff like that. Typically, 6 months is the cutoff for vice presidential Secret Service protection. Biden attempted to artificially inflate that by an additional year. He attempted to make it longer. This is abnormal. In fact, I don't know if it's ever actually happened before in U.S. history. It is abnormal. It is unnecessary. Nobody in their right mind wants to kill Kamala Harris anyway because she's barely even self-aware. She's brain dead. She's not a threat to democracy anymore because there's no possibility of her becoming president of the United States. And she's ruled out a gubernatorial bid, so who gives a fucking shit? Like, I wouldn't lift a finger to harm Kamala Harris because she's so irrelevant at this point. It makes absolutely no difference. Let her write her book, go on her tour. She's going to make millions. Selling to gullible, college liberals. Probably they'll make it required reading because she's so inspiring and awesome and powerful. And so she'll make a bunch of money. And then she can go and retire and do whatever the fuck she wants. Maybe she'll go back in the Senate. Who knows? It doesn't matter. It means absolutely nothing. There's no threat to anyone. I mean, people have tried to kill Trump on several occasions. Nobody, to my knowledge, has ever seriously considered trying to kill Kamala Harris. Probably because, unless a person is completely insane, so they're totally bereaved of their self-awareness, they're basically an automaton. Nobody really feels threatened by the concept of her actually getting into office in the first place. Wow, if she's just private citizen Kamala, then why hurt her? Who cares? If anything, it just becomes goddamn hilarious. I mean, I don't want Kamala to die. I want Kamala to live to be 100 so that she gets to, like, Biden levels of insanity. So that she can, like, stagger around and do, like, weird shit. Because that would be hilarious. I'll be like 70. I'll be like, oh, this, I'm a young whippersnapper compared to her. That would be pretty funny. Just saying. Nah, nobody really wants Kamala Harris to be hurt. Those that support her, the 5 people that still do, they don't want her hurt because they support her. The rest of us are like, well, I mean, she's a total lol cow. She's the gift that keeps on giving. So long life to her. I thought there was another. No, I guess it's not there. No, whatever. Dead time. The Democratic Party is made of weak men and ugly women. She's the ugly woman part. True. Absolutely. Again, another reason to hope for a long life for her, because as she gets older, she's going to get even more crazy and hideous. So it's going to be hilarious. Make America great, secure, and maritime again. Yeah, indeed. This article, this is from Real Clear Defense. Part of it I agree with, part of it I disagree with. It is absolutely the case that we need to upgrade our naval and shipping capabilities, both commercial and military. We need to upgrade both of them. We need to upgrade the ships. We need to have more of them. We need to ship more. We need to canvass more of the world. And we really, really should. And Donald Trump has a great idea here. He just hasn't yet carried through with it, and I really hope that he does. We'll see what happens. We really, really need to deal with the Panama situation. If we can accomplish that, and possibly the Suez Canal, if we can deal with these things, because we have the resources, we have the money, we have the manpower, we have the time, we have the military capabilities. If we can redouble these trading lanes, especially, again, Panama, Suez, maybe even in the Bosphorus, then the amount of money that the world saves on shipping things is monumental. We're talking trillions of dollars per year worldwide. That would be a good idea. We can stomach the cost ourselves because a lot of those savings will be savings for us. Yeah, it ingratiates us to other countries as well. Why not? Fuck it. Make 3 or 4 new locks in the Panama Canal. Why not? It's not like we're incapable of doing so. Bunch of people with shovels were able to do it the first time around. I'm sure that probably with modern equipment we could probably do it a little bit more easily and more quickly. That's being said, the other part is suppressing piracy. And of course, I like to put on the pirate hat and stuff like that. I'm a bit piratical myself. But these days, pirates are more equipped with things like, PT boats or, jet skis and shit like that. And they wield AK-47s. We have to defend against them, which means that we need a beefier navy. This article is more about shipping. So the idea is like Detroit could become a new shipping complex like it was before. All you need to do is increase portage and so forth. I would not agree with the article with regards to the Lakes region in Detroit. The thing is that Detroit became a major city partially because originally, many decades ago, it was the Paris of the West. So what happened is that Detroit was nice and central for the United States, and so shipping from there made a lot of sense, because it's like, hey, if we're putting it up in Canada, or we're using the rail lines to send it to the east, west, south, wherever, all of these are like equally distant. So it's about the most efficient place we can possibly put it. Detroit and Chicago, basically. It's about the most efficient place that we can possibly put these manufacturing centers, because they're at equal distance from these other locations. And so if we're going to process things from around the area, shipping it out from here makes sense. But that's no longer the case. The United States no longer needs a central exporting system. That's not the way that it works anymore. That being said, as far as the Atlantic, Pacific, and Gulf of America sort of regions, it does make sense to upgrade our fleets, upgrade our maritime capabilities. Not just in the military sense, but also making them more standardized, more efficient, and probably more fuel efficient if possible, to ship things across the ocean, across the Atlantic to Europe, parts of Africa, certainly the Pacific to parts of Asia, the other side of Africa, and the Gulf of Mexico to service, of course, parts of Latin America. We're capable of doing that. Last beacon, can you please stop posting random emojis? Dexter Spunky, will Detroit ever be revived? Maybe, maybe not. It's impossible to tell. That's the problem. Didi Cortez, how am I supposed to blow you when your hair parted like mine? Just kidding, just kidding. Rub you. Well, I mean, my hair is perfectly fine. I like it when people say that my hair is thinning, that I'm balding. Look back at videos of me from 10 years ago, dude. It's exactly the same for the most part. I've always had a high hairline. This is another reason to believe that I might actually be Abenaki, at least in part. By the way, if you want to get it on in that way, you've got to contact me on Twitter DMs. There's no other way to do so. I cannot publicly give out my email for obvious reasons. Snakes bleed red. Disgusting filth, always. No wonder you like Stolas so much. You misspelled Stolas. It's not an I, it's an A, by the way. B-list history! Heather Honey has more than walked the walk on unhonking the elections. Lara Trump also walked the walk. Zero doubt in my mind Trump is serious about dumping mail ballots because of the HH appointment. Yeah, he seems to be getting a lot more serious about some of these things. Oh yeah, Italian farmers here. As European cities continue to struggle with surging tourist numbers, Italian farmers have taken matters into their own hands. Locals have installed their own turnstiles across the Dolomites. It's the Great Dolomite! You should look that up, Great Dolomite Charlie Brown. Trust me, you'll find that funny. It's almost Halloween, so it's about that time of year, as influencers continue to flock to the mountain range in northeastern Italy. Carlo Zanella, president of the Alto Adige Alpine Club, told the Fox News Digital that the turnstiles are working. The turnstiles were installed at the beginning of July by a farmer who owns the land where the path passes, said Zanella, located in Val Gardena, on the Cicada. The turnstiles charge visitors about $5 for access. This is a good idea, in my opinion. If you have a bunch of people, influencers and shit, most of which are being paid by the DNC at this point, I suppose, and they get a lot of money, I think that they can spare $5 to wander onto someone's farm to take a couple of selfies that they're going to sell on Instagram. If this were a tourist hotspot, let's say that this property became a tourist mecca, because people just like the view out back. And by the way, the view out back is nice. But they were just like traipsing across the property and, wandering through my garden to get selfies and stuff like that. At some point, I'd be like, okay, we're going to need to do something about this. I can understand. I feel your pain. That sort of thing has happened here a couple of times before. There were a couple of years where one of the neighbors had one of those snow skis, those things that have like the treads in the front and then the little slips out back, and they were riding across the property. Now some people have a big problem with that. My mom is extremely territorial, and so she was muttering about it. I'm like, look, they're not destroying anything. They're not doing anything particularly wrong. I didn't give a fuck. I'm pretty lenient when it comes to my property here, as long as somebody's not, going completely crazy. Oh, I already did that one. Okay. Dexter Spunky, which state would Styx be best governor for? None of them. I would never want to be the governor of a state. Karina's about to draw. Excellent. Yeah, I got some good art. Bobby Robinson, that guy came to my channel and cried in my comments too. LMAO. Uncle Sham, people come here to look at the leaves and shit and ski. They miss all the real Vermont shit, like peeing into old quarries and the real fun shit. Dumbasses. Yeah, I know the feel. Yeah, Vermont can be really, really fun. But it's also got problems. Let's put it that way. High tax, high cost, definitely high cost of living. And then there are some enclaves that are like really, really old school hillbillies. And if you're not from within the rural part of Vermont, you might not fit in. Just saying, it might be a little bit tribal. Not violent or hostile or anything, but just like you're not going to fully fit in. And then there are other areas that are more like hippie trippy, like super hippie trippy. So unless you are, an Antifa member, you're probably not going to fit in there. Most of Vermont, though, we're relatively welcoming. Like, I don't give a fuck. Nobody cares. Afro Shenix. I told Stolas that Styx can't read my messages on stream. See how they obey. I obey nobody. No man alive or dead commands me. I answer to the Lord. 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, is the U.S. better prepared? No. There's your long answer, Rich Short. No, we're no better off. The problem with bureaucracy is that we have constant carpetbagging. And so really there's never any real improvement with regards to this sort of thing. You'll remember, 20 years ago, the other day was the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina making landfall in Louisiana, completely inundating New Orleans, causing several 100,000 people, not just there but elsewhere, to be internally displaced within the United States. They had to bring in the Dutch to rebuild the levee system and the pump system because they did not have the skill to do so. And they said, well, these people have been doing this for the last 600 years or something like that. Maybe they're probably a bit more of experts than us. That fly, come on, go away, dude. Lest I eat you, I will kill you too. Oh, I think I got him. That was pretty cool. Anyway, they brought in the Dutch to try to repair the levees and stuff, and they've been functioning since then, and they're doing a fine job. But is the U.S. better prepared? With the engineering on the ground, technically, yes. With regards to the human response, I am not so sure. The problem is that in a situation where you have that kind of stress on an engineered system, you're going to need the best and brightest and plenty of manpower and plenty of coordination in order to respond to whatever you happen to be facing. Now, it's not likely that in our lifetimes there's going to be another Hurricane Katrina. It was an exceptionally powerful storm. It's right up there with Andrew and a few others. Very powerful, and there were a series of mistakes that were made, and that helped to lead to it. First mistake, George W. decided that his lifelong friend with no experience in disaster relief should be heading FEMA. And therefore, was probably 5 drinks in that night, and he took the phone call. Oh my god! Oh shit! The levees, they're breaking! Yeah, people are drowning. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, well, yeah, people are dying at the moment, sir. Ah, well, let them die and decrease the surplus population. Rack 'em, shack 'em. And then he just went off to get another gin and tonic, possibly, or something like that. George W. had even worse hiring practices than Donald Trump term 1. Thankfully, Donald Trump term 2, he's done pretty well. Look at RFK Jr. the other day, and now he reamed the medical profession overall. But yeah, George W. did a terrible idea. Unfortunately, I don't think there's really any way to reform the way in which FEMA does the things that it does. And really, they would be the central organizers. Kristi Noem I think that she's rushing to reform the way it works, specifically because she's intelligent enough to know that if you keep it in its current form, your capability of responding more rapidly to things and at least getting topical, understanding what's going on, survey the damage, topical repairs as necessary, try to shore things up, save people's lives. I think she realizes that the ability of FEMA to do that is relatively hampered overall. It's capable of massive action, but it takes a very long period of time to actually plan that massive action. On the topical side, which is more like it's a band-aid on the gaping wound, but at the very least it's something. Trying to save as many lives, as much property, etc., and infrastructure as possible up front, I think that's what she has in mind. So you have a streamlined original response that is very fast, and that takes care of some of the damage. And then you have a more planned, coordinated response, and that's several days later. And this is probably the best we can hope for. It's too much to believe that the government is capable of canvassing every square inch of the country and immediately solving every infrastructural problem, responding to every single disaster. It's impossible for them to do that. But we can make inroads into trying to make at least the initial response faster and the secondary response more beefy, more well thought out, and more efficient. That's what I would say. It's just my opinion. Just saying. Let me see here. Uncle Sham. Burlington is really getting to be a shithole. Yeah, last time I was up there, I was like, ugh. Mount Venice, bring back your music career. I would like to make more music, but the thing is, I can't really play any instruments other than basic organ processionals. So I would need people to be able to make instrumentals that I can simply put the vocals to. I can mix them myself once I make the vocals. That's not hard. That was what I did before. Yeah, I don't have powdered biltong. What I do is I have a powdered spice mix that goes into biltong or into anything else. Shatterhand Sticks, I do not regret to inform you that I have seen a video of an obese white woman riding the sex toy bearing your namesake. Huh. I was not aware of the existence of this video. I don't know if you want to fuck a dragon cock that is loosely based on the lore of my channel. Yeah, everyone should have orgasms, yeah. Harrison Bergeron, organ processionals. You mean skin flute? No, I mean like a procession, like what you would hear in a chapel or something like that. And I would put the keyboard to this organ setting. And actually, they didn't come out very bad. Look up Hexenhammer organ processional or something like that. I'll post one in there. I did a bunch of organ work actually years ago. This is me playing them. No, there's no Y in that. What the fuck? Yeah, this was 13 years ago. Yeah, it's not listing any of those. Okay, well, we got this one at least. Yeah, so that's okay. I'm putting it there as a comment. Yeah, that's a little organ ditty that I did myself. King of Biltong. Biltong is one of the highest protein snacks in the world, boasting nearly 50% protein and packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and more. Visit BiltongUSA.com and use code STICKS for 10% off. You should do that, by the way. Green Text Pro. Great news story. We now have to talk about Clankers.net, the unofficial fan forum of Styx. It's a burgeoning, organic, fan-run social media site. Banton chat 24/7, 27/4. I think you got that backwards. And collab with clank-minded individuals. King of Biltong. You should touch base with Josh from Disaffected Podcast. He is also in Vermont and a good guy. Ex-leftist who woke up. I think you guys might get along. Sounds fun. I guess he's a fellow ex-leftist. Most of you wouldn't even recognize my political views back in 2006 or thereabouts. Shit. You know what I forgot when I went to the store? I was going to get some kefir. Some of that, like, yogurt drink. The one with the goat yogurt. It's really, really delicious. The one with the blueberry. I thought it was amazing. But they haven't restocked it at the local store, so I had to go further. But then I forgot to actually look for it. Yeehaw. Left-wing media spreads falsehoods about Trump's new election integrity watchdog. Yes, the DHS is getting involved in U.S. elections, attempting to try to figure out what the hell is going on, because we've had a little bit of a problem with this for the last few years, well, technically the last couple of decades at this point, been most of some of our lives, actually. It's a very, very problem. And so they're attacking Donald Trump, trying effectively to say, no, if you insist on fair, open, free elections, then you are an evildoer. You are a terrible person. You're trying to steal the election by making sure that only people that are actually legally allowed to perform in the election are actually the ones that are casting votes. That's what it boils down to. It's that the level of TDS is off the charts at this point. I've almost decided to not even bother covering stories like this at this point, because it really is that bad. It's gone that far beyond. So yeah. King of Biltong. I use kefir in baking. Very good in scones, etc. I only had scones a couple of times. They were a little bit on the dry side. I'm assuming that has to do with how they were cooked, though. They tasted good, though. I think they had orange zest in them. Chris West. Oz government is forcing in digital ID December 25th. Awake text saying Australia doesn't have the tech. The only working model available is China's credit score system. Well, I'm not surprised at that. I know that China basically owns Australia. It's trying to own the United States, but the markup is a little bit higher than for the Australian economy. Yeah, I did have scones once. I think there was orange in them. I can't remember what else was in them. They were made by the owner of a motel, actually, in Hampton Beach that me and my family stayed at for a few days on vacation. And it was really, really good, but it was dry. It was quite dry. I guess if you chopped it into smaller pieces and like melted butter all over it, probably it would be, better. Mhm. Warm, moist scones. Warm, moist clankettes. That's what I'm talking about. I'm out of news stories. It's a big problem. King of Biltong, swap buttermilk and pancakes with kefir. Huh. That could actually work. That sounds delicious, actually. Wouldn't it be a little bit too acidic, maybe? Like I like it with the berries in it and stuff like that when it sweetens it up slightly. I really really like it, but in pancakes. Lemon curd zero isn't moist prerequisite for being a clankette? Yes, all of our clankettes drip constantly. Basically like a watering can or something like that. Fragile Wolf. Aren't scones just a biscuit adjacent baked item? Yeah, but they got like fruit in them and stuff like that. Usually served hot with melted butter. Yeah, I don't know. I've never made them before. They sound. It depends on how you cook them. Here's the thing. Like the one that I had before, it definitely had like orange in it. Candied orange peel, I think, was added. And I think there was some lemon in it. And it was mildly sweet. It was really good. I really, really liked it. Although, you'd want something to dip it in, like strawberry jelly, maybe, or something. But it was tasty, admittedly. BW, sticks. It feels like the US is underwater trying to fight these commies, and EU, UK, and Australia are lost. I know Trump is working hard. I wish he ran earlier. Poppy, yo little sticks. I sent a vid to you on Twitter. I'll have to look at it later. If you sent me a video and I didn't respond, please bump it to the top. You gotta realize I get dozens and dozens, sometimes hundreds of DMs every day. I can't even go through them all, so sometimes things get lost a little bit. So yeah, we've gone through the nose. It hasn't flipped over yet. Oh, somebody just arrived or is somebody leaving? I'm not 100% sure. I never know what's going on these days. AI in the classroom doesn't have to be a catastrophe. No shit. Broken Prophet, Scone Temple Pilot. Oh my god. If you did a cover of one of their songs, but you had it like with Scottish bagpipes and stuff in the background, that would probably go viral. Just saying. BW, I know you said West will rise again, but it feels iffy. Oh no, it'll be fine. Sam W, Biltong or Pemmican? Why not have both? Spectergeist. Why are the CCP afraid of skeletons? Because it reminds them of how obese they could be. Bobby, yes, it was indeed hilarious. Mike the Womp. Clank, motherfuckers, and remember, there is no wrong hole. Well, I mean, if you try to slam it into somebody's ear, that might be a little bit of a problem. Michael D'Angelo, thoughts on numerology? Next year is my enemy year. I'm a 96, or rat. My last enemy year, I was on crutches and bedridden all year, ironically. Love you. Yeah. I do not believe generally in numerology. But it is interesting. I do study it. I know about it, but it's like, Or as a vectivist, I wonder if Styx has been keeping up with Louis Rossmann and the Clippy army at all. He's a good dude fighting the good fight. DM me on Twitter with details on that. I'll look into it if you can give me details. Anyways, I'm going to go offline because it is time to eat a little bit of Jamaican food and take a little bit of a rest. And, I gotta go live on Monday. I don't have to go live on the weekends. Not that I don't like talking to all of you. Trust me, it actually makes my day. But, I've got a few other things to do. I need to do a couple of sections in my literary work, and there are a few other things that I have to do. So I'm going to go offline. I will get some news for tomorrow, and we're going to have some fun. Maybe I'll even do an extra live stream. You never know. That's about all.